Let me speak to you now directly and with conviction. There is a battle being waged in your mind. A voice has been whispering to you persistently, maybe even violently at times. You're behind. Behind in your career, behind in your finances, behind in your purpose, behind in life. And that voice, it paralyzes more men and women than poverty ever could. You look around, and everywhere you turn, someone seems to be ahead. Someone younger, faster, richer, happier. You begin to believe you're too late, that you missed the opportunity, that the doors have closed and the train has departed, that it's too far gone, that you're running uphill while everyone else seems to be coasting. And it becomes a heavy weight, this feeling of delay, this lie of defeat. But I am here to declare the truth. There is no such thing as too late for a man who still has breath in his lungs and purpose in his heart. There is no fixed timetable in the journey of greatness. Every moment you've lived, even those you label wasted, has been shaping you either as fuel or as fire. And if you will only seize the truth that I discovered through the sweat and study of a lifetime, then you will begin to understand you are not behind. You are being positioned. The idea of being behind in life is a lie built by the enemy of progress. It is a distortion of time that causes you to measure your destiny against someone else's calendar. But purpose is not subject to a stopwatch. There is no universal timeline for success. There is only your timeline, your rhythm, your call. And when you live according to that, then even what appeared to be delay becomes divine preparation. But first, you must break free from the habit of comparison. You must understand that the most destructive thing a man can do is measure his worth by another man's progress. When you do this, you become a prisoner, not of circumstance, but of perception. You lose sight of your uniqueness. You begin to chase shadows instead of becoming substance. Now I must ask you, what have you been thinking about? What dominating thoughts have you been allowing to take residence in your mind? Because your mind is your greatest asset, and your thoughts are the blueprint of your future. When you allow thoughts of being behind to become your dominant mental state, you attract more reasons to feel behind. But when you shift that inner narrative, you begin to change your outer results. I want you to grasp something critical. Your current position is not your final destination. Just because you're not where you want to be yet does not mean you're lost. You are not behind, you're building. Every moment of frustration, every season of struggle, every step you've taken, even in confusion, has been adding weight to your character, wisdom to your decisions, and depth to your purpose. I have interviewed the greatest minds of our time, men who built legacies from nothing. And one common thread always appeared. Before success arrived, there was always a season of obscurity. A time when no one clapped, no one noticed, no one rewarded the effort. That season did not mean they were behind, it meant they were being prepared, tested, tempered, refined, and so are you. The first step to catching up, if we must use that term, is this. Decide what you're catching up to. Are you chasing someone else's vision? Someone else's version of success? Someone else's definition of arrival? Or are you aligning with your own calling? Because until you define what ahead looks like for you, you'll never feel caught up. You'll always be racing, always anxious, always second-guessing. Next, you must take radical ownership. You must stop blaming your past, your parents, your partner, or your problems. You are not a victim of your environment. You are the architect of your future. And while you may not be responsible for everything that happened to you, you are absolutely responsible for what you do next. This moment is your opportunity to reclaim your power. Not tomorrow, not when things settle. not when you feel ready. Now, the very act of deciding, of claiming your direction is the moment you begin to move forward. Success is not a mystery, it is a process. And the first law of momentum is start. You must also silence the noise. The digital age has made it almost impossible to stay focused. We are bombarded by highlight reels, by fake metrics of success, by the illusion of overnight achievement. But let me tell you this clearly. Success is never instant. It is always earned. What you see on the surface is the result of years of unseen labor. So turn off the noise. Shut down the comparisons. Withdraw your energy from everything that feeds insecurity and give it back to what builds confidence, discipline, clarity, and execution. Now let me speak to the fear that lingers beneath the surface. The fear that maybe you're not enough. That maybe too much time has passed. That maybe you missed your chance. That fear is a lie. And it must be confronted head on. Not with shallow affirmations, but with truth backed by decision. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are not incapable. What you lack in experience, you can make up in discipline. What you lack in skill, you can acquire through persistence. What you lack in time, you can outmatch through intensity. There is nothing you've lost that cannot be rebuilt through daily committed action. Let's talk now about speed. If you feel behind, then you must embrace strategic speed. I'm not talking about frantic movement or reckless action. I'm talking about focused, prioritized, high-leverage decisions, the kind that collapse time and multiply progress. Every morning you must ask, what is the highest value action I can take today, and then do it. No delay. No excuses. No seeking perfection. Take the step, even if it's small. Because every forward step is a vote for the future you desire. You must also master your emotions. Feeling behind often leads to shame, frustration, and burnout. But these emotions are not indicators of truth, they are simply signals. Listen to them, but do not obey them. Use them. Let frustration drive clarity. Let disappointment sharpen your hunger. Let regret ignite your focus. You do not have to be ruled by what you feel. You can train your emotions to serve your mission. And you do that through discipline, through showing up no matter what, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Let me now give you one of the most powerful principles I ever uncovered. You can change your entire life with a single decision, executed with daily consistency. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right thing over and over without quitting. That's how you catch up. Not by running faster than everyone else, but by becoming unshakably consistent in your own lane. This is not theory. This is the law of cause and effect. Thoughts become actions. Actions become habits. Habits become character. Character determines destiny. And if you will choose the thoughts that build confidence, the actions that build progress, the habits that build momentum, and the discipline that builds character, then destiny will be forced to respond. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. You need more hunger. You need more courage. You need to stop waiting to be rescued and start becoming the kind of person who cannot be ignored. Because here's the truth. The world does not reward potential. It rewards proof. And proof is created through persistent, intentional effort, day by day, brick by brick, with fire in your soul and vision in your eyes. So if you're feeling behind, here's what you do. Stop looking around. Start looking within. Stop chasing everything. Start building something. Stop explaining yourself. Start proving yourself. Stop doubting the future. Start dominating the present. You are not powerless. You are not behind. You are simply standing on the edge of transformation. The question is, will you jump? Because the moment you leap, the moment you stop waiting for permission and start moving with precision, that is when the universe begins to rearrange itself in your favor. That is when doors open. That is when people take notice. That is when everything you thought you missed starts to make its way toward you, not because of luck, but because of alignment. And that, my friend, is how you begin to catch up. If you're still listening, then you're not done. You haven't quit. And that in itself is proof that your future is still waiting on you, not someone else to rise. So let us now go deeper into the strategy, not just the inspiration, but the actual transformation. Because wanting to catch up isn't enough. Wishing doesn't build anything. Hope is not a strategy. You must decide. You must act. You must systematize the way you think, feel, and behave. First, write this in your mind. Success is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters daily. If you feel behind in life, then you must ruthlessly identify what has kept you stuck. Be honest. Brutally honest. What patterns have been stealing your progress? What habits have kept you running in circles? What distractions have been masquerading as opportunities? If your daily behavior does not align with your desired future, you are sabotaging yourself, and you don't even need an enemy. You've become your own obstacle. But here's the victory. You can change your patterns the moment you decide they no longer serve you. Now let's talk about the one thing that will speed up your progress faster than anything else. Focus. You've been taught to multitask, to chase multiple goals, to scatter your energy in a dozen directions. And that's why you feel behind, because you've been busy, not productive. You've been active, not aligned. You've been doing, not building. You must understand that clarity is power. The more clearly you define your mission, the faster you will move. It's not about chasing everything. It's about committing to one thing long enough for it to reward you. And here's the truth most won't tell you. Focused energy compounds. It turns small actions into massive results over time. You don't need more hustle. You need more clarity. Sit with this. Write it down. Let it sink in. Because a man who knows exactly what he wants is a dangerous man. He becomes immune to distraction. He doesn't ask, is this working? He asks, is this aligned? He doesn't chase validation, he builds momentum. So, if you truly want to catch up, eliminate the clutter. Strip away what's good so you can pursue what's great. Remove the things that keep you entertained, but not empowered. Stop consuming and start creating. Your life is not a spectator sport. You are the producer, not the audience. And every day you delay is a day you're agreeing to remain behind. Now let's address something else. Emotional discipline. This is the unspoken key to outpacing your past. If you cannot control your emotions, you cannot control your direction. You will be up one day, down the next. On fire in the morning, quitting by night. You will start strong but finish nowhere. Discipline is the bridge between the life you have and the life you want. And it starts with mastering the war in your mind. You must stop believing every emotion. You must stop negotiating with your excuses. You must rise above your moods and move with commitment. This is not about perfection, it's about persistence. No one is asking you to feel amazing every day. But the world is waiting to see if you will act regardless of how you feel. Because success doesn't ask if you're in the mood. It rewards those who show up anyway. Let's now shift from emotion to identity. One of the greatest lies that keeps people behind is the belief that you must wait until you feel like a successful person before you can become one. That's backwards. You don't wait to become confident. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself. You don't wait to feel motivated. You move first, and motivation catches up. You don't wait for the right mindset. You forge it by doing what needs to be done when it's hardest to do it. Identity isn't discovered, it's built. So ask yourself, who do you need to become in order to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be? And then live like that man today. Not next year. Not when you've got it all figured out. Not when the conditions are perfect. Because your future self is not some distant fantasy, it's the compound result of your present decisions. Every decision you make either brings you closer to that version or keeps you trapped in the past. Now let's bring in one of the most powerful forces I've ever taught about, definiteness of purpose. You cannot catch up without it. This isn't just a goal. This is a mission so clear, so defined, that every fiber of your being begins to align around it. When you have definiteness of purpose, you don't drift. You don't wander. You don't waste time. You move with precision. You make decisions faster. You say no easier. You recover from failure quicker because you are locked in on a target, and every hour of every day is filtered through that focus. Without purpose, life becomes reaction. With purpose, life becomes direction. So ask yourself again, what do you want? Not what do others expect of you. Not what looks good on social media. Not what the world says is success. But what do you want deep in your spirit? When you answer that, you are no longer behind. You are finally moving in alignment. And when alignment happens, acceleration follows. Now, let's talk about something very few address. The necessity of patience. You want to catch up. That's noble. But rushing the process will destroy you. Speed without stability leads to collapse. You must move with urgency, but build with patience. Understand this. Every skyscraper is built on a deep foundation. And you, my friend, are not meant to be a cottage. You are meant to rise high. But that means your foundation will take time. Your habits must be solid. Your mindset must be strong. Your discipline must be real. You cannot microwave mastery. So be patient, but not passive. Keep moving, even when you don't see results yet. Keep showing up, even when it feels slow. Because the process is working, even when it's invisible. And those who trust the process are the ones who rise above everyone else who quit. And I'll give you this final truth for today. You don't need a new life. You need a new level of you. You need to bring intensity where you brought laziness. You need to bring ownership where you brought blame. You need to bring fire where you brought excuses. You need to bring focus where you brought distraction. That's how you close the gap. Not by wishing, not by hoping, not by begging life to be easier, but by becoming stronger, sharper, more relentless in your daily execution. Because life does not respond to weakness. It respects power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The ability to dominate your schedule, to direct your thoughts, to own your actions, that is how you catch up. That is how you rise. That is how the world begins to shift in your favor. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't just scroll. Don't just consume. Don't just react. Create. Decide. Move. Because every moment you delay is permission for your old life to remain. But every action you take is a vote for the future you deserve. And if you take enough votes, if you cast enough ballots for discipline, focus, faith, persistence, then it is only a matter of time before your entire reality bends to your will. You are not behind. You are building. You are not late. You are learning. You are not broken. You are becoming. Now act like it. You must now burn this into your consciousness. The life you seek will not arrive as a reward for pity. It will arrive as a response to power. The universe, God, and every law that governs success does not recognize complaining as currency. It recognizes courage. It responds to motion. It honors those who keep showing up, who rise again, not because they feel like it, but because they've made a decision. Now let me tell you the truth about momentum. Momentum is not something that magically appears. It is created through consistent, focused action, compounded over time. But here's the part most people miss. The first phase of momentum feels like pain, not progress. It feels like you're pushing against gravity. Because you are. When you begin to move after standing still for so long, everything in you resists. Your mind tells you to slow down. Your body screams for comfort. Your past calls you back. This is the test. This is the threshold you must break through. Because right on the other side of resistance is rhythm. And rhythm is where the magic happens. That's when your habits begin to automate success. That's when energy returns to your body. That's when opportunities begin to notice your presence. But you cannot enter rhythm without pushing through the early resistance. And most people quit there. Not because they aren't capable, but because they mistook discomfort as a sign to stop. I tell you, discomfort is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you're on the edge of transformation. Now let us examine another reason why people feel behind. They compare their reality to someone else's highlight reel. Stop measuring your progress by another man's timeline. His path is not your path. His pace is not your pace. His calling is not your calling. And here's a harsh truth. Some of the people you are comparing yourself to are not even building what lasts. They are speeding toward collapse. They have no foundation. They have no internal mastery. And while they may look ahead today, you will pass them tomorrow if you build with depth. Comparison is the thief of focus. And when you lose focus, you lose time. And time is your most sacred currency in the pursuit of catching up. Do not waste it watching others. Use it to create, to think, to execute. Write this into your mind. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is the version of you who chose distraction yesterday. If you are 1 inch better than him today, then you are catching up. Now let's speak about another internal enemy, overwhelm. Feeling behind often leads to paralysis. You see the gap, and it looks massive. So you freeze. You wait for clarity. You overthink. You plan too much and do too little. This is a trap. Understand this. Overwhelm is not the size of the task. It is the absence of clarity on what to do next. So what do? You simplify. You shrink the mission down to the next powerful step. Not the 100 things, not the perfect path, just one task that moves the needle forward today. Do it with intensity, with purpose, and once it's done, choose the next. This is how you catch up, one focused action at a time. Done consistently, done with urgency, done with excellence. Because it's not speed that wins, it's consistency. It's the man who shows up with intensity day after day who ends up passing everyone who was once ahead of him. Let me now give you a weapon most overlooked, faith. And I'm not just speaking of religious faith. I'm talking about the unshakable belief that what you do today will eventually produce fruit even when you don't see results yet. Faith is the fuel that carries you through the invisible stages of progress. It is the bridge between where you are and where you are destined to be. You must believe that your effort matters, that your decisions count, that your discipline will not go unnoticed. Because if you don't believe it, you'll stop when nothing happens. And that's when most people quit, right before the results begin to show. So I say to you, develop a belief so strong, so convicted, so unwavering that your actions become automatic. Not because you see evidence, but because you trust the principle. You cannot be casual with belief. You must feed it daily. With your words, with your thoughts, with the way you carry yourself. Speak as if it's already unfolding. Walk like you are being watched by your future. Move like you are the man you are becoming. Because the greatest thing holding you back is not your lack of resources. It's your lack of belief. Now, if you truly want to accelerate your path, if you want to catch up at supernatural speed, here's the secret. Give more than you take. Add more value than is expected. Do more than what's comfortable. Sacrifice more than the average man would dare. Because the law of compensation is very real, and it is always watching. What you put out into the world returns multiplied. The problem is, most people sow lazily and expect to reap abundantly. That is not how the universe operates. You must outwork your excuses. You must outgive your past self. You must pour yourself into your purpose without hesitation. Because every seed you plant, every act of discipline, every early morning, every hour in solitude, every decision to keep going, it all stacks. And at a certain point, the stack tips. The momentum becomes visible. The doors begin to open. The right people begin to appear. The breakthrough shows up, not as magic, but as a reward for relentless execution. Let us now address the environment around you. You cannot catch up while living in a toxic environment. If your circle speaks doubt, you will breathe doubt. If your surroundings reflect chaos, your mind will mimic chaos. You must protect your atmosphere like your life depends on it, because it does. Clean your space. Organize your time. Limit conversations with those who drain your energy. Increase interaction with thoughts, books, voices, and people who sharpen your discipline and feed your clarity. Environment is not a background factor, it is a driving force. If you are serious about catching up, then audit everything around you, because you cannot outrun what you're constantly exposed to. You must make the hard changes now, before they cost you another year. And as we draw to the final cornerstone, remember this. The old you cannot follow you into the future you desire. The one who procrastinates, he must go. The one who compromises, he must go. The one who blames, he must go. The one who overthinks, he must go. You must shed the version of you that was okay being behind. That was okay being average. That tolerated mediocrity. That numbed his potential. There must be a line in the sand, a shift, a decision that declares to the world and to yourself, that version of me is dead. I bury him today. And I rise as the man who was born to dominate his domain. Not with arrogance, but with certainty. Not with ego, but with purpose. Not with noise, but with results. You've waited long enough. You've thought about it enough. You've watched others long enough. It's your turn now. Catch up not by wishing, but by building. Not by begging, but by deciding. Not by feeling ready, but by forcing the new identity into existence through your actions. There is no one stopping you, except the permission you've given to the weaker version of yourself. Take that permission back. Rise now.